Chelsea Football Club have had their bank accounts frozen by Barclays. Barclays have had to freeze them due to the sanctioning against Roman Abramovich. However, Roman has given the green light for the sale of Chelsea to go ahead under the control and guise of the UK government. This has also been met at the same type of news that a big bid is expected from the Saudi media group to take over at Chelsea Football Club. We're going to break down the last 24 hours of news. We're going to look at these potential new owners and the big plans that they have for Stamford Bridge, the Chelsea squad. Hit the like and share button. Subscribe to the Football Terrace. Let's do this. There was breaking news from Nazir Kinsella, one of the leading Chelsea journalists, that the Saudi media group have big plans for Chelsea, including contract renewals for Rudiger and Aspie, as well as investing heavily in the Cobham training ground and women's team. The Saudi media group turn over $1 billion a year and will be backed by other Saudis. This, of course, is huge news for Chelsea fans who have been exceedingly stressed over the course of the last week or so. Some showing it more publicly than others, but there's been a lot of stress. Roman being sanctioned, sponsors pulling away, talk of the club going out of business and being deducted points. We always kind of rejected those notions on the Terrace. They were going to be worst case scenarios if Roman Abramovich didn't walk away, etc. He was always going to, though. And as Matt Law and the Telegraph told us very late on Friday night, Roman hasn't stood in the way. He has essentially agreed to everything that Boris Johnson and the UK government is asking for. I'm still going to sell the club. I don't want any proceeds. I'll allow you to oversee it. The UK government want complete control and power over the assets of Roman Abramovich, and he has essentially relinquished that power. We always knew Roman was going to do this. No matter who you are, where you're from, what you're thinking, you knew as well as I did that Roman was going to do this. There was no way that he was going to let Chelsea Football Club fall apart, crumble, fade. Never. We knew this was coming. It was inevitable. The freezing of the bank accounts. Again, having worked for Barclays Bank for a long time in my life, that was inevitable. And sorry to disappoint a few Chelsea fans, that isn't a targeted approach from the bank. The bank has zero choice. If Barclays does not freeze those bank accounts, connected, owned essentially by a sanctioned person or persons, they would find themselves potentially picking up fines of anything from 10 up to over 100 million pounds. They had to do it. Sponsors have been pulling away because they're worried about their reputational risk, not their issue with Chelsea, but of course who Chelsea is owned by. Nike and a number of others have stood by Chelsea as the news that Roman is going to allow the UK government to essentially be the brokers and the kind of head of selling the club. Now, there are some very interested parties, some big American owners, some big American consortiums, some British billionaires as well. One of the most mysterious in the last few days has been the Saudi media group. Now, who is behind them? The man spearheading this, as you can see there, runs the media group and is the CEO of the parent company who called Engineering's Holding Limited, which was founded by his father. He spent a lot of time in the UK where he attended the Cass Business School and spent 3 years working at Deutsche Bank. DB, people would refer to that in the industries. He was at Chelsea's 3-1 win over Arsenal in 2017, the game in which Eden Hazard famously dribbled from the halfway line. Interesting bit of information there. But it sounds like he'd been a Chelsea fan for a while, spent a lot of time in the UK, clearly very well educated, very wealthy man. What the report that does talk about with Saudi Media Group is there is no connection to the owners of Newcastle or PIF, who are the kind of investment group that are behind that. It's a completely separate entity as far as everybody is aware. How wealthy is the next big question? How much money are they going to have? Well, they are the biggest media group in the Middle East, and they also have interest in advertising, hospitality, and the banking sector and sport. The company in itself turns over around $1 billion, around 700 million a year, giving it scope to be a powerful player in English football. It is, of course, worth noting that the Saudi media takeover bid will be co-funded by a consortium of various other private backers from Saudi Arabia. So again, if you look at this and go, well, they don't even turn over enough money a year compared to Roman wants like £3 billion. They only turn over 700 million. How does that work? There is going to be investors. They've got big plans for Chelsea as well. There's one big question remaining about the investors. What do they want back? And we'll kind of get onto that later. In terms of the rest of the matter when it comes down to these new investors, what are their plans for Chelsea? According to Nazir Kinsella, they are ready to tackle the major challenges of rebuilding Stamford Bridge, which could cost upwards of 1.5 billion. Their previous experience of building football stadiums and infrastructures is being touted as a key advantage in their bid. They're, of course, looking to renew the contracts of players leaving. And essentially, when you read into them and delve into more detail, they are looking to keep Chelsea as one of the most successful clubs and build Chelsea into being one of the most successful clubs on a continued basis in Europe and, of course, domestically in England as well. They are very much coming in to keep Chelsea at the top. Will it be the same as the Roman era? And I've been saying this all along, that is going to change. I don't think you're going to get, you're not going to get a one person that owns your football club, one individual that oversees everything. I know you delegate and you hire people, but one overarching power. There will be a chairman, yes. There will be someone doing particular roles, but it's going to be an investment company to a large degree. So you're going to have the Saudi media group are going to get investment from outside individuals, and as a collective, they are going to own the football club. So there's going to be board decisions to make things done. There'll be a board above the board, you would assume here, because you think they're going to be sensible, and they will keep a lot of the football minds on the current board that stand, but there'll be sort of a Saudi media board that they have to answer to, like a shareholders meeting, essentially. That's how it's going to work. There'll be the shareholders of the football club working their way down. And no one knows how this is going to go. This could be better for Chelsea in the medium to long term and short term. It could be worse. It could be about the same. No one really knows. There's a lot of scaremongering that's surrounding these potential takeovers. What we do know is that the new ownership are not going to be as wealthy as Roman, as in one individual pumping their money in. It will be consortium based. That can cause problems. How much money you're spending in the transfers. When you're building a new stadium, does it mean that you're relinquished from spending as much money on players for a few years? These questions are unanswered. Of course, everyone that's buying Chelsea is going to paint a picture that they're going to do the best thing for the football club possible. But that in itself also may very well be true. And I think that's what Chelsea fans have got to just remain calm about, like I've said. There was a lot of scaremongering. Chelsea could go bust. They could go out of business. And if you listen to the content we made, it was very much playing that down. That was very much the media playing devil's advocate and worst case scenario. And I suppose to an extent, I'm kind of doing that here. This consortium could be amazing. This consortium may come with its problems. Nobody really knows. And that's why it's important to remain calm. There is no truth or no tangible confirmation that any of the consortiums trying to buy Chelsea are going to make the club considerably worse. And there is no guarantee that they're going to remain the same and become considerably better. This is about remaining calm, waiting for the dust to settle and the sale to go through, and then seeing what's there to be offered, then seeing the kind of these new owners and these new consortiums put their money where their mouth is. But one thing is for sure, there's not a targeted attempt, in my opinion, from sponsors and banks and people in the UK to shut Chelsea Football Club down. There isn't. There is, of course, a conflict going on and actions that have been taken, which are very unfortunate for Chelsea Football Club. And I do understand the frustration and anguish amongst the fan base. There are multiple parties, lots of consortiums full of very wealthy individuals that want to buy Chelsea. All of them are claiming that they can keep the club at the top, that they're ready to invest money. Saudi and media group have so far been the most open and transparent with what they want to do. Is it going to be a success? The answer is nobody knows. The answer is nobody knows. My opinion is that Chelsea will remain a top four club and a team that will build teams capable of winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues. That's how I feel. I don't believe there's going to be this gargantuan fall off where Chelsea end up being a mid-table team like a lot of people are suggesting. They're going to get points deductions and get relegated and all this nonsense. That simply, for me, that isn't even remotely possible in any way, in any shape, or in any form. Not to me. I want your thoughts and feelings, though, on the Saudi media group. Are they the best of the bunch that you've seen so far that are interested? Is there someone different that you would like to see own Chelsea Football Club? I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. Make sure you're smashing that like button before you leave. You're subscribing, turn on the bell notification button as well. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you.